Hey, what's up guys? In today's lesson, I'm gonna explain to you how to install WordPress, especially for those of you who still don't know how to do it. Unfortunately, most tutorials available on the internet are not so rich in details, so most of them don't explain the best practices for installing WordPress on your server. So in this lesson, I'm gonna explain very carefully the things I always do to install WordPress in the best possible way. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna visit the official WordPress website at wordpress.org. Okay, we're here. I'm gonna push this Get WordPress button. Download the current version. Maybe when you're doing this exercise of installing WordPress, you see another version because WordPress is always releasing updates. No problems. You can download the version that is available to you. I'm gonna download the file into XAMPP's htdocs folder. If you're using Windows, probably this folder is in C drive, XAMPP, htdocs. If you're not using XAMPP, the name of your folder might be something like www. You need to check this in the documentation for the application you downloaded. But if you watched the previous lesson, you should have the htdocs folder in place, whatever operating system you're using. I'm gonna unzip the file. And now I have a new folder called WordPress. I'm gonna rename the folder. The new name will be wc_course. You can choose another name if you want, okay? The tip I give is always write the name of the folder with lowercase letters, no spaces, and no special character, except for the underscores. Before moving on to the next step, make sure the Apache and MySQL servers are running, okay? Otherwise, it will be impossible to install WordPress. Every time you work in your local environment, check this first. Okay, now that we have all the installation files, what we're gonna do? Well, I'm gonna create something that is essential for WordPress, which is a database. To create our first database, let's go over to PHPMyAdmin. If you never heard of PHPMyAdmin before, this is a graphical interface that allows you to manage MySQL databases. To open it up, all you need to do is just write in localhost/PHPMyAdmin in your browser. The steps I'm gonna explain can be used for both a local server and a remote server. It's not very different. So if you decided to do everything right on your remote hosting server, pay attention because the following steps will work for you too, right? You only have to stay tuned for some things that can change, like for example, the server name, your password, the database user. With some small adjustments, the result is gonna be the same. In my case, the page is already opened, but in case you see a login form, you can just type in the word root in the username field and the password is empty. If you haven't changed the password or created a new user, that information is all you need in order to access the PHPMyAdmin interface. Now I can start creating my database. Here I'll click on this new link and choose a name for my database. The name is going to be WP_WC_course. One important detail is that the collation for every WordPress database should be this one here, okay? UTF-8 MB4 Unicode CI. Click on Create. And you see that the new database is now being displayed over here in the sidebar and it's ready to be used. Now I need to access the content of that folder we created in htdocs. I'm gonna open a new tab here on my web browser and type in the following: localhost/wc_course. wc_course, as you know, is the name of that folder in the htdocs directory where we got all the files from the WordPress installation. So what we see now is the homepage of the WordPress installation. We got a welcome message, And before continuing, we need to know beforehand the right values for these fields below. The name of the database we just created, the username of that database, which in our case is root, the password, which is empty, the server name, which is localhost, and the table prefix. Unfortunately, this small detail of the table prefix is what many tutorials on the internet never say nothing about. Although WordPress doesn't say anything about that here on the installation screen, we need to change this prefix when we install WordPress. This is very important because it's no use having a website inside the WordPress platform, however secure it may be, if you don't do your part. Don't you agree with me? So the most important task at the moment is going to be change the prefix of WordPress tables. So let's do it now. Push this Let's Go button. Now on this screen we set the name of our database. As you know, it's WP_WC course. The database username is root. The password is empty. And since we're using a local server, the name of the database server is localhost. Now, if you're on a remote server, check this information with your hosting company. Often, when you hire a shared hosting service, this information is sent to your email. Another place where you can find this information is over here in PHPMyAdmin. You can see the name of the server over here and over here on the right side, where we got the name of the user logged into the database server and the server name here. And now we're going to change the database prefix, which is very important in terms of security, as I said. But you may be thinking, why is it so important? And I say it's because by default WordPress comes with this prefix WP. But everyone knows that. Everyone, especially the bad guys, know that. So if you leave the prefix as WP, you certainly lend a hand to invaders. That's not a good idea. Here on the screen it's saying only that you can change the prefix if you want to run more than one WordPress installation using the same database. But in our case, we'll change that over for security reasons. So let's change this over. Now it's no longer WP. Let's call it WCC, for example, which is much better than just WP. You can change to whatever prefix you want. It doesn't have to be the same as mine. Okay, click submit. Oops, we got a problem here. It's saying, sorry, but I cannot write the wp-config.php file. Well, that's not a good sign to us because that means WordPress will probably not be able to write anything inside XAMPP's htdocs folder. In the future, we may have problems downloading and installing plugins or themes. So we have to fix that. Just so you know, that only happens to macOS 10 users because the htdocs folder, which is inside applications, doesn't have read and write permissions. You can live with that if you want, but I hate the idea of having to create this wp-config.php file manually every time I install WordPress. If you're a Mac user too, I'll teach you how to solve the problem now. If you're using Windows, you can skip this explanation and go straight to the end of the video. Okay, to fix this problem, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change the location of the htdocs folder. And I suggest moving this folder over to the Documents directory. Let's go to that directory. And I want to create a new folder over here called htdocs2. It's going to have the same name, right? I'm going to open my XAMPP's control panel. Select the Apache server, configure, open conf file, yes, we're going to make a change to the location where XAMPP looks for its application files. Instead of looking for those files in the applications folder, it will start looking for them in the documents folder, right? The first thing I'm gonna do is look for the correct place for editing. I want to find a line that starts with the word document root. Okay, these are the two lines that I need to edit out. Let's change this path here and write in the new path of the htdocs folder. In my case, the new path is users / Marcelo Vieira / documents / htdocs. In your case, the only thing that will change is your Mac username. Mine is Marcelo Vieira and yours is different. If you don't know what is your username, just open up your terminal and use the command "who am I" to find out, right? I'm gonna copy this and duplicate it down here. Okay, but I need to change one more information. I'm gonna look for a line that starts with user daemon. And I need to change these two values, user and group. They need to reflect my own user and group for this computer. To find out what those are, I'm gonna open up my terminal and I'm gonna use the id command. And these are the two information I need inside the parentheses of the UID and the GID fields. Next, I'm gonna comment out these two lines. And I'm gonna repeat the fields here with the new values. First the user, then the group. Excellent. Now I can go ahead and save the file. I'm gonna restart the Apache server, otherwise the server won't apply the changes made. And now it's already working with the new settings. Most of the times, all you have to do is to restart the Apache server, but some users sometimes need to reboot the computer. I don't believe that's necessary, but you may also try to reboot your Mac. I'm gonna move the WC course folder over to its new directory. And to finish out, I need to give read and write permissions to the new folder. I'm gonna unlock this padlock and just change the permissions here. Close the padlock. And now I can go back to the WordPress installation. And now finally, I don't have that annoying message anymore. This makes our job a lot easier. I'll click on Run the installation. I'm gonna write in the name of the website here. It will be WooCommerce course, for example. Here under username, I recommend you don't use names such as admin, WP, test, or some other weaker options. You can choose your name, a stronger name, one that you can remember easily. For example, I'm gonna choose my own name. For the password, I recommend you to accept this password here or choose a very strong password, especially in case you install WordPress on a remote server, for security reasons, of course. In my case, as I am on a local host, I'm gonna use 1, 2, 3, 4 to make things easier, because it will be only a local installation. But what's important is that if you're doing this in a production environment inside a remote server, you always change the admin password. Never use 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? This is just to make my job easier during the course. As I chose a very weak password, WordPress is asking me here to confirm the use of a weak password. Here my email. And here I can choose to prevent search engines from crawling the website. This is cool if you're building everything on your remote server. It can hide your site in search results while you're creating it. And that's a good idea. You can change this in the admin dashboard later on. For now, I will not change anything more. Finally, I'm gonna install WordPress here, and it should be alright. And here, WordPress installed, finally. Now if I click here, log in, enter my username and password, I will see the WordPress dashboard. Look at that. By default, you see that in Appearance, Themes, WordPress comes with some native themes installed, and their name is always related to the year in which they were produced. In this course, you'll learn how to create our own theme, and we'll be able to customize it throughout the course. That is, this will not only be a course that will teach you how to create a simple website or an e-commerce website. We're gonna take the first steps here to create something more comprehensive, which is a WordPress theme that is WooCommerce compatible. Knowing how to create a theme, with a little more knowledge, you'll even be able to sell it. As I mentioned in the first few lessons of this course, it is aimed at two types of people. Those who just want to create their own e-commerce website with all the customizations allowed by WordPress, and those who want to stop relying on third-party themes, who want to create their own theme for themselves or for their clients. And the course is always aimed at those who want to go further and distribute the theme on the internet on sites like WordPress.org. Over time, you'll realize that the theme is independent of the website and may even turn out to be a separate product, which can even bring you some money if done the right way. This course will teach you the most hard part, which is how to create a theme the right way by following all the rules of the WordPress theme review team. With this knowledge in hand, you can decide which path to follow. So that's what I have for you guys in this lesson. I hope you have learned something new today. Just a reminder, if your installation didn't work out, take a look at our FAQ or send me a question. It will be my pleasure to help you, right? And I'll come back to the next lesson. See ya!